Hey guys, I'm back with another writing lesson, and I wanted to talk to you about punctuation since we're coming to the end of this unit. So, of course, you know that we use periods at the end of our sentence. All your sentences should have some sort of punctuation. We use a period at the end of a thought. One good thing you can do is read your story out loud, and wherever you take a breath, you probably need a period there. Of course, if it's a question sentence, we use a question mark. And if it's an exclamation sentence, if somebody's excited or screaming, we put an exclamation point. Okay? We also talked about using the 3 dots, ellipses, if we want to create suspense. And I want to also show you today how to punctuate dialogue when somebody is talking, okay? So I have Nandika's story here, and she really knows how to use her punctuation. So she says one day, Rosie was wiggling her tooth. You see how she has periods? All of a sudden, her tooth started bleeding, exclamation. My tooth is bleeding, she screamed. Do you see how she has the quotation marks at the beginning of what she said and at the end? The exclamation mark is inside the quotation, or the exclamation mark is inside the closing quotation. The dialogue tag is outside. Her mother came running. Are you okay? See how she has a question mark? And the quotation marks to close it, her mother asked. No, cried Rosie. Now, the only thing she's missing here is a comma. When there's no question mark or exclamation, you use a comma. My tooth is bleeding. And when there's no dialogue tag, the period goes inside the quotation mark. Okay? So I'm going to show you that on the board so that you can see it a little bit bigger. So she has, my tooth is bleeding. Exclamation. And that's something that she would be excited about, right? So, and then she has, she screamed. Okay? Period. Now, the quotation marks go around only what was said. So she screamed, Rosie, my tooth is bleeding. So the beginning quotation goes before my, and the ending goes after the exclamation. The exclamation point is inside the quotation marks. That's what Rosie said. My tooth is bleeding. And then outside the quotation is the dialogue tag. She screamed. Also notice that the first letter of the first word in any quotation has a capital letter. So my is capital. Then the next one says, are you okay? Are you okay? Question mark. Her mother asked. And of course, that's the end of the sentence, like at the end of Scream, so there's a period. What was said? Are was the beginning. Look at the capital A. Are you okay? End quotation, and then the dialogue tag. Her mother asked. Now, if there's no question mark or exclamation point, then you need to use a comma. So, if she just says, I'm going to write it up here at the top, no, and there, you don't want to use an exclamation, the comma goes inside, the beginning quotation is before no, then the comma, then the closing, and then you tell who was talking. Cried Rosie. Okay? So if you don't have an exclamation or a question mark, then you use a comma. Okay? Even this one, let me get the eraser and erase this. even this one on this page, yes, sniffed Rosie. So she said yes. She's answering a question, yes. The comma's inside, closing quotation marks. Sniffed Rosie. I like the way Nandika is using all different words for said. Okay, sniffed Rosie, period. All right? Remember, if there's no dialogue tag, like when she says, my tooth is bleeding, because sometimes you can tell who's talking. So she said, no, cried Rosie. And then she's continuing to talk. Let me show you that one. No, cried Rosie. And then she's continuing to talk here. So, no, this is correct. And then she's going to continue to talk. So you already know. You still have to start with a capital, but you already know who's still talking. Rosie. My tooth is bleeding. You don't have to say cried Rosie or said Rosie again. Then the period comes inside the quotation marks. Okay? This takes a lot of practice. So I'm just showing you so you can get used to it, okay? I did want to show you Autumn's writing where she used an ellipses. It says, one spring day, Cyane and her friend Redeco were playing a game, and then we saw something, ... Remember, that creates suspense. You can use that in your writing, okay? So make sure that you're using periods and exclamation points and question marks. Try it out with a comma and see how that goes, okay? I did want to show you, and also try to use punctuation in the quotations when someone is talking. One more thing I want to show you is the comma in a list. One day Gilda was reading. Gilda was bored. She decided to play with her cat. Gilda's cat was upside down with her paws up. She was cute. Gilda's cat was, here's a list, brown, comma, white, comma, and black. That's a comma in a list, okay? When you list things, you put a comma between each item in the list, okay? These are things that you should be learning and starting to use in first grade, and definitely using more next year in second grade, okay? So look back over your stories and try to fix up the punctuation, especially the story that you want to publish. I'll see you next time.